The human foot, able to carry us through a lifetime of activity, providing sturdy support for the rest of the body. For all its importance to our daily activities, however, rarely does the foot get the attention and respect it deserves, until something goes wrong. When a serious injury occurs at home or on the job, it can alter our lives forever, making activities that we once took for granted nearly impossible. In one recent year, according to the National Safety Council, there were 180,000 foot-related accidents. While foot injuries are all too common, there is good news. When proper precautions are taken, most foot injuries are easily preventable. In this program, we'll discuss types of footwear, getting a good fit, daily inspections, and working safely. The first step in implementing a comprehensive foot protection program is to conduct a hazard assessment. At your facility, this may have been performed by an on-staff safety professional or by an outside safety consultant. Either way, this individual's job is to carry out a complete facility analysis. This requires looking at each work site to determine the hazards employees may be exposed to, and then deciding on the best way to eliminate those hazards. Where possible, redesigning the work site or the way tasks are performed is the best way to reduce dangers to the feet. Such simple changes as installing anti-fatigue floor mats and allowing workers to frequently rotate jobs can make a big difference. But no matter how well designed a work site is, the potential for injury to the feet will still exist, and the correct PPE in the form of safety footwear must be used to reduce the risks to the absolute minimum. The protective footwear used at your facility was selected after an analysis of the relevant hazards. Because potential hazards vary from one environment to the next, there's a wide variety of shoe designs, each one intended to protect against specific hazards. How do you know if your footwear will provide protection from the hazards you face on the job? Each pair of safety footwear has a code that is printed, stamped, or stitched onto one of the shoes. This label identifies the type of protection the shoes provide. Each line of the label lists specific information. For instance, the first line tells the wearer which federal standard or section of a standard the shoes comply with. In this example, the shoes comply with the ANSI Z41 standard. The PS indicates that they comply specifically with the protective section of the standard. The two numbers at the end designate the year that the standard was introduced. In this instance, 1991. The label's second line identifies whether the shoes are intended for a male or female wearer, and also whether the shoes contain a reinforced toe. If they do, the strength of the steel or composite toe will be rated for both impact and compression resistance. Impact resistance, which is the ability to resist damage from a falling object or sharp blow, has 3 possible ratings. The lowest rating is I-30. Shoes that have this rating can withstand a 50-pound object dropped from 7 1/4 inches, which is the equivalent of 30 foot-pounds. Shoes rated at I-50 can withstand 50 pounds dropped from 12 inches, or 50 foot-pounds. And shoes rated at I-75 can withstand 50 pounds dropped from 18 inches, or 75 foot-pounds. Compression resistance, which is a measure of the static pressure a reinforced toe will protect against, also has 3 ratings. Here the lowest rating is C30, which provides protection for up to 1,000 pounds of pressure. Next is C50, rated for 1,750 pounds of pressure. And finally, C75, rated for 2,500 pounds of pressure. Besides these ratings, the label's second line may also include a rating for metatarsal resistance. The metatarsal region is the area between the ankle and the toes. Like impact resistance, metatarsal protection is rated for 30, 50, or 75 foot-pounds, depending on the blow the shoe can withstand in that area. Other information that appears on protective footwear is listed on the third and sometimes a fourth line. Common examples include shoes labeled with a CD for conductive footwear and SD for static dissipative footwear. These shoes are worn in environments where it is dangerous to have a static electric charge build up on the body, such as near volatile chemicals or explosive dusts. The shoes dissipate the charge by providing a conduit from the body to a grounded floor. Because their design provides no insulation against electric current, conductive and static dissipative footwear must never be worn in environments where open electrical circuits could exist. In these situations, shoes marked EH for electrical hazard are worn. If a worker accidentally contacts an electrically charged part containing 600 volts or less, the insulated sole on these shoes reduce the risk of injury. Puncture-resistant footwear, labeled PR, is worn to protect a worker from nails, stakes, wire, tacks, scrap metal, glass, or any other sharp objects that could pierce the bottom of a shoe if stepped on. Shoes marked with an SR are slip-resistant. The soles of these shoes are made of materials that maximize traction, helping to prevent slips and falls when working in environments that have wet or oily floors. Besides matching the type of shoes you wear to the environment you work in, it is also important to select shoes that fit well. When you're on your feet for hours every day, working in comfortable footwear significantly reduces fatigue and the possibility of injury. The best time to buy new shoes is at the end of a workday, when your feet have swollen to their largest size. Throughout life, the average adult's foot will change size 4 or 5 times. So before picking out new shoes, always have your feet measured. Be aware that people often have one foot that is larger than the other. If this is true for you, select shoes that fit your longest foot correctly. If you wear heavy socks, orthotics, or cushioning insoles at work, wear them while testing the fit. Otherwise, these could make a comfortable pair of shoes too snug. Before making a final decision, stand up and walk around. This causes the toes and arch to spread out, giving you a better idea of how the shoes will feel when you are active on the job. Take your time while deciding. Some people assume that tight-fitting boots will expand with wear, but this is a mistake. New footwear does have a break-in period, but they do not stretch to a larger size. How do you know when you have a good fit? When laced, boots should fit snugly around the heel and ankle. Toes should be about a ½ inch from the front to allow movement. Overall, the shoes should feel as if they conform well to the shape of your feet. Because breaking in a new pair of shoes can cause blisters and discomfort, it can be helpful to own at least 2 pairs of safety footwear, an older pair along with the new pair. This allows you to rotate between the two during the break-in period. To ensure that your footwear provides adequate protection, it must be inspected every day. Before putting on safety boots, check them over for cuts, cracks, or holes, and look for separation between the upper part of the boot and the sole. Any damage of this type can diminish the footwear's protective qualities and make the feet vulnerable to injury. Make sure straps, buckles, and laces are in good condition, and replace them if they are not. Turn the shoes over and inspect the soles for pieces of metal or other embedded material that could cause a trip hazard or make the wearer vulnerable to a dangerous electrical exposure. Non-skid soles should be checked for tread wear that can diminish the ability of a shoe to grip a walking surface. Shoes that have a worn-down sole or arch can also cause problems by not providing adequate support. Over time, the improper foot alignment that results can lead to bone and joint problems. Never use footwear that does not pass inspection. Either replace them or have them repaired by a qualified person. If repairs are made, make sure they do not lessen the protective qualities of the footwear. For example, non-sparking boots that have been repaired using metal nails are no longer safe to use in an explosive atmosphere. When determining if impact-resistant footwear is in acceptable condition, it is important to consider that all damage may not be visible to the eye. When a heavy object falls on a steel toe cap, it will usually become permanently dented. But toe caps made from composite materials can spring back to their original shape and appearance, even though they've received the same amount of damage. In both cases, regardless of appearance, the footwear's ability to protect the wearer has been compromised. The safest decision is to always replace impact-resistant footwear that has been struck by a moderate to heavy blow. When putting protective footwear on, always lace them up fully. On high-cut boots, this helps prevent injury by providing extra support for the ankles. As you enter a work area, be alert to potential hidden hazards. Common sense housekeeping, storing equipment, keeping aisles clear, wiping up spills, can head off many potential accidents. Besides hazards in the work environment, another source of injury to the feet involves wear and tear, particularly when standing for long periods of time. Because our feet were designed for movement, tasks that keep a worker standing in a fixed position can place a great deal of stress on the feet. Over time, the blood supply to the legs decreases, leading to fatigue and soreness. Continuous, unrelieved pressure on the feet day after day can eventually cause bone misalignment and joint degeneration. Providing the feet cushioning and movement helps to prevent these problems. Wood, cork, carpeting, and rubber flooring are easier on the feet than bare cement, but they are not always practical. Using footwear with an insulated sole and placing shock-absorbing insoles inside a shoe can help reduce impact and increase comfort. Before a shift begins, you can use simple stretching exercises to prepare the muscles and tendons of your feet for long periods of standing. The familiar calf stretch that athletes use before a workout begins by standing at arm's length from a wall. Place one foot forward and the other behind you. Bend the knee of the forward foot while keeping the back leg straight, keeping both feet flat on the ground. You should feel a gentle stretch in the heel, Achilles tendon, and calf. After holding this stretch for 10 to 15 seconds, switch to the opposite side. Repeat this exercise 6 to 8 times. Another good warm-up exercise requires a rounded object, such as a tennis ball, a 15-ounce can, or a wide pipe. Set this object on the ground and place one foot on top of it, then roll the object back and forth under the arch of the foot. After about 5 minutes, switch to the other foot to complete the exercise. Finally, while working, you can also combat the effects of standing for long periods by giving your lower limbs a mini workout. Occasionally contracting and relaxing calf muscles and flexing and straightening your ankles and knees helps maintain flexibility and blood flow to the area. These and other stretching exercises can be useful for treating conditions such as Achilles tendonitis and heel spurs. But if not done correctly, they can make an existing problem worse. If you have a foot injury or are experiencing pain, check with a foot specialist before beginning any stretching or exercise regimen. At the end of your shift, follow the manufacturer's recommendations for properly cleaning and conditioning your footwear. This will help to extend their life and protective ability. Before putting your safety shoes on again, allow them to air out in a dry, clean, well-ventilated area away from direct heat. If possible, buy 2 pairs of shoes and rotate between them so they have ample time to dry thoroughly. Putting on damp footwear reduces comfort and increases the possibility of developing blisters and athlete's foot. Whether the risks at your work site include heavy or sharp objects, corrosive chemicals, slippery floors, or exposure to electricity, no work environment is free of hazards to the feet. To minimize your risk of injury, remember these safety principles. Wear the appropriate foot protection for your work environment. Choose safety shoes and boots that fit properly. Inspect footwear before each use and replace damaged footwear. Check the worksite for potential hazards. Whenever possible, avoid standing in a fixed position for long periods of time. And finally, follow the manufacturer's recommendations for cleaning and storing your safety footwear. If you have any questions about proper foot care at your facility, ask your supervisor. Though we rely on them for almost every activity, our feet are easier to damage than most people realize. But you can protect your feet from injury by following safe work procedures every time you step onto the job site.